of authority, this goal, staff which controls toward protection, this bind, leading and teaching of this chief, ox, also like no, denying objectively, let not, and stay in, to this mark, signed covenant, sign, identification of people, place and thing, inside this tent wall, of this massive, mighty, lifted up sea, blood, lifting up, of, and to this tent door, hung low, and pathway, also like to covet, delight in, praise, never not connected, to this anointed tent peg, which fixed, added to this palm of hand, open, which tamed, subdued, and allowed control toward authority, this goal, by staff, bind, leading and teaching, also, like all, totally, from this chief, ox, divided to one, facing this front, pressed from, sharpened by, and repeating, this head and person, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, also like who, which, what, that, when, where, to all in this authority, goal, in, of this staff, of control toward protection, this bind, leading and teaching of this head and person, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, with eye to see, experiencing, watching, and heeding to understand, cover of this palm of hand, to curve and allow, also like friend, companion, neighbor. From this head and person, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, chief, ox, life, breath, and breath of life in man, also like see, look at, inspect, and perceive, inside this tent wall, sickled with harvest, food, with and of this crown, made ready and fed by, with life, breath, and breath of life revealed, also like to gaze at, contemplate, connected to this anointed tent peg, hooked to secure, fixed, added to stay facing this front, pressed from, sharpened by, and repeating, eating from this massive, mighty, lifted up water, first man, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, also like to keep, guard, observe, give heed, as offspring of this air, sprouting seed, perpetuation, this Yaisha, given kingdom of life to continue, desiring, and on trail of this head and person, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, also like keep, from, and to this massive, lifted up sea, water, blood, to this air, sprouting seed, ye, given kingdom of life, perpetuation, also like from, out of, by, since, with an eye to see, experience, watch and heed understanding, appearance of this staff, authority, goal, binding bind, control toward protection, leadership and teaching, also like upon, over, to this palm of hand which opened, tamed, subdued, and allowed control toward authority, this goal, staff, bind, leading and teaching, also like all, whole, totally, if not in this family, house, inside this tent floor plan, with, and as a man on his side, desiring and on trail, with eye to see, experiencing, watching and heeding, to understand, cover, also like unjust gain, plunder, if not of this tent wall, inside, and inside this mighty lifted up sea, blood, lifting up this door, and in this tent door, hung down, on this pathway, also like if not to desire, from, and this palm of hand, which opened, to tame, allow to this arm, hand by hand, thrust, deed, to physically observe, also like for when, surely indeed, by authority, goal, staff which controls toward protection, bind, leading and teaching chief, ox, also like no, denying objectively, let not, in, and inside this family, house, tent floor, plan, this, life, breath, and breath of life in man of this head and person, top man, topmost rule, first possession and inheritance in and of this family, house, inside this tent floor, plan, life, breath of life in man, also like increase, multiply, to grow, if ever, whenever not of authority, goal, this staff, control toward protection, bind, lead and teaching, chief, ox, arm, hand, thrust hand, deed, therefrom divided, facing this front, pressed from sharpened by, and repeating, also like person, individual, this, life, breath of life revealed in man inside this tent wall of this arm, hand, thrust, hand, deed, physically observing, also like alive, raw, fresh, strong, life, as sprouting seed, of this air, washu, given kingdom of life, blowing word, command spoken by mouth like a sword, pressed, divided from this front, also like heart, creature, mind, look, if that looking at, beholding life, and breath of life revealed in man, anointed tent peg of this chief, this ox, also like him, same, such, to look and to behold this, life, breath of life in man also like falls out, exists, take place, come about, if not that, from this massive, mighty, lifted up sea, water, blood, to this air, sprouting seed, given kingdom of life, perpetuation, also like from, out of by, since, this, if one does not look at, behold life, breath of life in man, of this arm, hand, thrust, hand, deed of life, breath, also like come to pass, fall out, done, look, if that looking at, beholding life, breath, and breath of life revealed in man, anointed tent peg of this chief, also like him, same, such. If, when not of this family, house, inside this tent floor plan, with eye to see, experiencing, watching, heeding, to understand cover, and this appearance by this anointed tent peg, which fixed, added offspring, sons to this Ishua given kingdom of life, perpetuation, heir, sprouting seed, to continue, also like iniquity, if when not of this family, house, tent floor plan, inside, and as with this man on his side, desiring, on trail, hooked to secure to this anointed tent peg, fixed and added, also like unjust gain, plunder, lucre, if, when not divided from this sun to this sun, on this horizon, in a line of day, gathered to this father with, and as a man on his side, desiring, on trail, and of this blowing word, of this mark, signed covenant, signature, identification of people, place and thing of strength, of, in this arm, hand, thrust, deed, physically observing, also like angry, displeased, crack off, if when not of this anointed tent peg, hook to secure, to join things to this palm of hand, which opened to tame, subdue, to allow to life, breath and breath of life in man. Anointed tent peg, also like smite, strike, if when not looking to behold this life, breath, breath of life in man, this shield, support, thorn in this hand of this staff to grab and hold on to, established establishment to prevent all hate and barb, this signed covenant, mark, strong indicator, and identification of people, place, and thing in, and of this head and person, topmost rule, first possession, and inheritance, also like to hide, conceal, if when not divided from this sun to this sun on this horizon, in a line of day gathered to this Father, with and as a man on his side, desiring, on trail, and of this blowing word, of this mouth, speaking command as a sword, of this mark, signed covenant, signature, identification of people, place, and thing, of strength, blowing word, mouth, spoken command like a sword, also like angry, displeased, crack off, and, if still, not of this anointed tent peg, arm, hand, thrust, hand, deed, physically observing, authority, this goal, staff, control toward protection, bind, leading and teaching of this palm of hand to allow, also like to go, come, walk, if not divided from this front, facing frontward and connected to this anointed tent peg, to this family, house, and inside this tent floor plan, also like turn back, if not to and of this family, house, tent floor plan, door of this, and pathway to, and for this topmost rule, first possession and inheritance, this palm of hand, open, to tame and allow, also like way, road, distance, journey, manner, if to some staff, not authority, goal, control toward protection, leading and teaching, bind this family, house, inside this tent floor plan, and anointed tent peg, also like inner man, mind, will, heart,